Hello everybody. So, I have a lot of cars in my room, and I thought I might show them all to you. Might find it relaxing, I suppose. Anyway, this is an Audi R8 GT. It has the V10. In it. This is a pretty practical supercar. If you were to drive a supercar every day, this is probably your best bet, actually. As far as reliability, it's gonna be pretty hard to see in there. I doubt you can. But I've always wanted one of these. Just like this. A white V10 with the carbon blades. Doesn't have to be a GT. The GTs are quite rare, but I like the contrast. If you get a black one, you can't really see. I just think it's a good design. Okay, now moving on up. This is another favorite of mine. Now, obviously, most of these are going to be my favorites because I wouldn't have bought them. But the Lamborghini Murcielago. This is a V12. Now, I don't know how many of you actually know a lot about cars. Maybe you just thought this would be relaxing. I don't know, maybe you might even learn a little bit. But this is a LP640. So the second generation. Most of these are going to be quite hard to get the engine bay open, but with this quarter, and there it is. It's going to be very, very hard to focus. The computer doesn't do macro or anything. And the trunk opens too. Really all of these trunks open, but you know, my fingernails just don't exist. Now, I'm not a huge Ferrari guy. I generally prefer Lamborghinis and Porsches as far as that main rivalry goes. This door doesn't open very far. Imagine getting in like that. But I do like the 458. The 458 is the last naturally aspirated Ferrari. V8. Anyway, we do have the F12 and the 812 now, but as far as the V8's, the more, quote, affordable ones, the 458's your best bet. Now this is a Speciale, which is a lot more, but these hold their value quite well, this and the normal one. And I wouldn't buy a red one either. It's too cliche for me. But it is quite a good looking car. said, I'm a massive Porsche fan. There is no substitute for this precision German engineering. This is the 4.0 997 GT3 RS. You could only get these in white and black. Of course, that didn't stop people from painting them, but these are quite rare. I forget how many they made, but it's a great track toy. I can't imagine driving one of these just around town. I'd get a GT3 for that. A bit more comfortable. But nonetheless, I'm not super big on stripes either, but I think in this case, maybe because it's OEM. It's because it came on the car. Now, again, with the Lamborghinis. I think at this point, this car has sort of fallen by the wayside in popularity. A lot of people like, again, that door. Again, I think most people at this point like the Huracan or the later Gyarados, which of course have more power. But I really like how these look. People don't like the I suppose dated bumper and the tall taillights. I don't know, I like this a lot. The V10, and it sounds really good. And this model is actually gated, which is very nice. Room. I saw in Florida on my birthday. This is 2 years ago now. Wow. Time flies. But I saw a silver pre-LP Gyarados drive by the hotel I was in. And I've always kind of liked more bland, I suppose, colors on cars, because it lets the car speak for itself. Because you already have a Lamborghini, and it's loud. And I mean, they try and say, Lamborghini even, I believe, try and say that you can drive this quietly, but I believe it's 3K RPM. You barely hit the gas and it's already loud. Really, you could daily drive this, but again, I'm not sure. I think I'd rather daily drive an R8, which is essentially the same car, actually, with Audi owning Lamborghini. Now, the R8 is flashy, but it's not a Lamborghini. As far as the gas station conversations, this will get you more attention. I think that might be more fun at first, but I think the hype would wear off with that quite fast. Alright, let's get some classics going. We've got a Jaguar E-Type. I forget the exact year of this, but this is it's the 60s, but this is a Series 1. And I'm just now realizing there's a chip on that, and now I'm quite disappointed. I don't know when that happened. But again, I tend to buy these kind of randomly, impulsively, I suppose. Can even see the exhaust along the chassis. Oh, it says it's a 61. Yeah. I was in Washington visiting my brother, and I was in a wilderness camping shop, and I came outside, and I saw one of these backing out of one of the parking spots. And so, while we were camping, I ordered the same E-Type. It was red, and I just ordered an E-Type. And it took so long. When we were camping, we were out there for a couple weeks, and I get home, and just, oh yeah, I ordered an E-Type. Quite disappointed that's chipped now. I don't know how that happened. Okay. Now, this, the Lamborghini Miura. People call this often the first supercar. Now this I always thought was really funny, this particular model, because it has the signature eyelashes. You probably can't really see them, but they look like little grills above and below. They look kind of like eyelashes. And that was for the S and the base. This is an SV. The SV didn't have those. And as far as I can tell, this isn't an SV at all. So they badged it wrong. But nonetheless, the V12. This is one of my favorite cars. I say this is one of my favorite cars I'll never own, because these are roughly $1 million now, I believe. Just the normal ones. The axle is not connected. Well, it is, but barely. And of course all this opens, but on these Baragos, like on the E-Type, everything is very difficult to open. It's really not worth it. This is a Mercedes 300 SLR. Now, of course, these are famous for the gull-wing doors. And this is the Ubermacht, which was made, of course, for Ubermacht. I forget his first name, but he designed the 300 SL, if I'm not mistaken, and the normal SLR. So this is the only hardtop. There's only one of these. Mercedes owns it, which I'm quite happy about, because I don't think this would really be sold if if it were sold, it would probably go to somewhere in Saudi Arabia. No one would ever see it. But you can go to Mercedes in Germany and see it. Mercedes claims that if this were to sell, it would be the most valuable car ever sold, outdoing the 250 GTO, which would not surprise me considering there's only one in the history of it. Okay, one more Lamborghini. Now, as I was saying earlier, I'm not a massive fan. I think I said earlier, I'm not a massive fan of the Huracan, but the Performante, however, has probably the coolest downforce system I've ever seen. I believe it's called ALS. So, essentially, the air comes in through here, and while you're driving, it will flow under the spoiler and through the body. But when you go over a certain speed, I believe 100 likely, it eases off because you don't need as much downforce at that speed. And when you go around corners, the ALS takes in air only on one side. It knows that you need more downforce on one side of the car to keep it planted. I forget the name of this color, but it's quite pretty. The metallic, the fleck paint. I ordered this car quite some time ago, and before Corona, actually, and then my back room where I was going to put all of these cars was getting remodeled, and I don't have anywhere to put it. So I actually just took this out of the box a little bit ago. I can't even open the door very well. It's brand new from the box. I took the stand off it, which is unfortunate. It's just screws. I do like having the screws, but I park them all like so. If I had a lot more room, I would do this and have them all on the blacks. That would be fun. Anyway, I have some more, but they're around the house. And this video is also getting kind of long. But yes, the V10 on this car still does sound pretty good. But I think the Gallardo sounds better on the normal one. But on the Performantes, you get this sports exhaust. And the exhaust really seriously brings this V10 to life. And it sounds unbelievable. It's substantially better. But this is, of course, a great deal more money, so if you have the means to buy a Lamborghini, this is quite a bargain, given the performance it has compared to, say, an Aventador SV or something similar, which of course is more powerful, but those are significantly more money. These are close by. I guess I'll bring these in. I have some of these just laying around my room. You know, I'm a big Porsche fan, as I said. So we have a GT2 RS, which I have not been able to find in 118, that big size. I found these, I believe, at CVS on one of those racks. They call these Widowmakers because these are all stick and rear-wheel drive and rear-engined. Now, even on the track, these would be quite dangerous. But on the road, as a street car, it's, I believe, a pretty insane idea to drive one of these around. But they sound incredible, of course. The exhaust can look different based on your spec, I believe. Unless I'm thinking of the 992. I think I'm thinking of the new one. The 992. Okay, now, these are also pretty great. I do not think, I got this so long ago, I'm not sure I would buy one of these unless I had a lot of disposable income. But it's an homage to the SLR from earlier with the gull-wing doors. These are pretty cool, but as I said, I feel like many people agree with the fact that for the amount of money that these now go for, I think many people would buy something a bit more typical, like a Lamborghini, even though these gull-wing doors are quite flashy. But if you want to show off, you can do that with a cheaper car. These two sound pretty good though, but nonetheless, I haven't seen enough of them. I did see one in Beverly Hills with a dog riding in the passenger seat, and I always liked that because it just showed that the owner didn't mind having his furry friend in his six-figure car. So, there's that. Well, I think I'm gonna call it there. Hopefully, this has helped you doze off. still hear things.